you see it because it's very elaborate, but it's made up of little short strokes that you repeat over and over again, and it's very, very simple to do. And I don't know if there's one behind here. I've been doing some in a sketchbook, and then writing the names down by them. The names have nothing to do with the way they look. So for me, it's very hard to remember what their names are, because it really, they didn't want them to define what they were doing. So the only one that might look right is this little V pattern here. It's called static. Well, that I understand, but this one is innies, and this one is jetties. I mean, it has nothing to do with the shapes, So I don't ever know any of their names. I've been doing it for years, and I don't know their names. Yeah, and then you can buy a book. This book that I have is for CZTs, which is a certified Zentangle teacher. And I went to New England and took a seminar up there to become one. And but you can get a book similar to this that will give you, like, the steps, the names of things and the steps on how to do it. It might not be as big and as, thorough as this one, but this is just for the teachers. But, and you can probably go online, and might be a lot of little, on the official website, might be a few videos on there to help you.
Yeah.
And,
well, cool. It looks like it's a couple minutes after 4. It looks like we've got several minutes on, so let's just start officially, and I will welcome everybody for the San Marcos Art League. Thank you so much for showing up. I'm gonna hand everything over and let Lana do her thing, and you guys should all feel free to, if you have questions, just unmute yourself. Keep yourself muted if you don't have questions, but when you do, just unmute and ask questions, and we can just have a dialogue, because there's not a bunch of
right. I want to make sure you understand.
Right.
Like if there's something you really can't see or you don't understand, I'll be glad to go over it again.
Exactly.
The first thing I'm going to do is go over the materials and tools that you'll need. And you do need an assortment of ink pens, India ink pens. And this is the best improvement that has ever happened to the pen industry, I think. And this is the Micron. This one kind of shows up. The Micron pens, and they come in a set. I like this set. It's 3 sizes. If I turn it over the right way, it'd work better.
This is so you're facing it like that.
Oh, okay. No, it's upside down. Oh, I see. Okay. Anyway, it's a Micron 3 pen set that you can get at any of the Hobby Lobby or Michael's has it. And it has the 01, which I use the most. That's the one you'll use the most for drawing. That's this one. And then there's an 03 that I very seldom use, but it's a thicker line, like if you need a little thicker line. And especially if a child is going to be, like an elementary age person, they might want to use the 03 because it's just easier to see and do with. And then there's an 05, which is the fatter one, and that's the one that I use if I'm filling in the background of something like this black back here. I use the 05 for that, because you wear out your tips too fast. If you use one of your fine tips to fill in all that area, you'll be wearing that felt tip right down to the nub. The other thing you need is a tortillon to do your blending, and just a plain, you can use a Q-tip, but it's not as precise. And you need a number 2 pencil, and actually I found the little cheap back to school pencils are the best. You can go buy fancy Eagle brands and all that, but this one is just in a little set of 3 or something, and it's the softest lead. It's really nice, and I like it. You need some kind of sharpener. I just use one of these little hand sharpeners like that. Any kind of sharpener that you have. You probably want one that will catch the stuff in it. Some of them have the plastic in it. And you're not supposed to, on the official book, it says not to do it, not to ever erase. But that's kind of, hoping for the best, I think. So if you're going to use an eraser, I like this one. It's a white plastic one, and it does not ever smudge. It never leaves a smudge. And so it never tears up the paper surface. So this is a really good eraser. And that's about all you need. It's just very little. You can actually carry it, you know, like just in one of those pen pouches or something in your purse, a little comb carrier, and just stick in, you know, a pencil, a pen, and a tortillon, and take some paper or sketchbook, and you can do it anywhere. You're waiting in a doctor's office or whatever, and it's really fun to pass the time that way. So I'm going to get into how you start off. You need a border, and this pencil line I am going to be making rather dark so you can see it, because I saw the other day it doesn't show up at all. But I'm going to make these lines kind of dark, but you would make them as faint as you could on your paper. Do you have somewhere to draw? Does everybody have somewhere to draw? If you've got a sketchbook, you can just draw off, you know, like this is a piece of paper here, and I just drew me off a square on there. It's about 4 inches. It can be any size you want. If you get over 4 inches, it takes too much time to fill it in. This is actually the size they call the apprentice size, which is for students and for elementary and junior high students. And then this size, you can see the difference, this little one here, is the size that they teach the adults on. And I think it's very small. And I guess I like to put more. I guess you can get maybe 3 designs in the little square. And I guess I like to stuff more stuff in mine. Okay, so the first thing you do is put 4 dots about, I don't know, 1/4 inch from the corners. And these would just be enough for you. I'm doing a little bit darker, so maybe you can see them. They'd be very small for you. And then you would start in and just draw from dot to dot. It doesn't have to be straight. It doesn't have to look good. This is going to be your imaginary border that you're going to try to stay within. And it will eventually be erased out. And I'm doing it kind of dark so you can see it. You can make it much lighter. But you can see it's just a bare, where am I? Right there. A bare little border that you have there. And the next thing we're going to do is string the tile. And to string the tile, that is dividing. What you're going to do is divide your interior space into 3 to 4 areas that you can work with. And this is trying to cut out all decisions. You don't have to make decisions about where you're going to put it or how much of it is going to go there or anything. I'm going to start in one corner. You can do it differently, but this time I'm just going to start in one corner and make a big loop staying within the lines and coming back down around and cutting across. So it's like doing a big letter E. I started at one corner. Any way you want to. Start at one side, make a big loop, hit the next side, and come across to cut that in, so that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 spaces to work with. Some of these spaces can stay blank. They do not have to be filled in. And the first one I'm going to show you is
on the bottom sketchbook.
yeah, but I forgot his name. Shoot.
It's right there. Huh? Oh, rain.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
That's rain. Oh, I was going to do rain first. Okay. So I'm going to start with rain, and I'm going to probably want to put it down this straight line. It can be curved or straight, but I'm going to do it on this straight line. So I'm going to need to move I'm going to move it until it's like pointing at me. The line is pointing at me. And that's what these squares are good for. You can twist them around till you do it. And I'm going to change now to my number 1 pen, the 01. And I'm going to put my line. So I'm just going to kind of trace over that. And then I'm going to do a zigzag pattern across it where it looks like little teepees or mountains or shark's teeth. And I'm going to go across the line. And there's no right or wrong way you do it. And they don't have to be the same size. This zigzag pointy lines across there. And then you go inside of each one of these and you're going to leave a little border. So you're actually drawing another triangle inside to make, it's actually, then you're getting a frame to go around the inside of that little triangle. So the first one you drew was the frame, and now you're drawing the inside. And then this is where I'm going to switch pens. I'm going to cap it because they do dry out. So always cap your pen when you're not using it. And I'm going to switch to the 5. If you don't have a 5, just keep using the 01. And I usually try to hold the pen pretty straight up and down so that I wear the tip evenly and flat so it keeps it same width. And then I'm going to be shading in, and I may be in the wrong place where you can't see it. I'm going to shade in that triangle. This has already got something black hanging on the back. And I kind of went outside the line, so I'm going to go and trace it again to make it a little smoother. And the name of this one again is Rain, like raindrops that come down, which make no sense since it's pointed, but that's just the way they name things. How are we doing out there?
Looks okay.
Is it too soon to start another one?
No.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one we're going to do is that oval that we made. The oval, we're going to fill it in. And that one is going to be called Perk. And it looks, to me, it looks like a little bit like a Christmas tree ornament or something that we're going to do. And we're going to put bands across it. Maybe I should show them what Perk is going to look like before we start with it.
You have that on it there.
I'm just going to jump in. I know that some people came in a little bit late, but I just wanted to remind everybody that this is being recorded and we will have it up on our Vimeo page. So if somebody wants to come back and look at, watch it again, or if you miss something, you'll always have a chance to get back to it. So thanks.
Yes, thank you. Perk looks a little bit like an ornament or an egg, Easter egg, or some kind of jewel pendant. And it's usually done in an oval. It doesn't have to be a perfect oval. It can be a circle. It can be in different ways. This is another one that's finished. Perk, where is it? There it is. But they're quite the eye catcher, and a center of interest. They're really nice. So the first thing we're going to do is draw these lines that come across, and you can see they're kind of like a laid out S. They're kind of in an S shape. So I'm going to be starting up here at one end.
Maybe go that way a little bit.
Sorry.
There you go.
Okay. And I'm going to kind of do a slanty S that goes from edge to edge. And then I'm going to skip up a little bit and do the other. And a lot of times then I go ahead and kind of round the end off, make it rounded. Skip down a little bit and do another one. I want enough room in there, to put some of those ovals. They're kind of like cabochon jewels that we're going to put inside there. And then we're going to start filling in the area with the little cabochon looking Easter eggs. And I find it's much easier than to turn the tile a little bit until it's comfortable for you to draw these shapes. And you're going to just put them side by side and make them start out on the top line and curve out, and then come back in and just try to fill it in. And you can go outside the lines. It's a pencil line you got there anyway. It doesn't matter. And I always like to start them on the outside so they bulge out a little bit on the outside and stick out over. And if you can't get it all in there like you run and some of it looks like it's hanging in behind the line, that's great too. It doesn't matter. And then you can either, it doesn't really, there's not really anything that you have to do in a certain order. You can either go in and blacken the triangles in between and shade them in. And you probably, if you did that, you'd want to change pins. I'm just going to do this so you can see what I'm talking about. But I usually do that at the end. But that will be blackened in. I'm going to go to a pencil now, and I'm going to start shading those circles before I blacken everything in. That way I can cover up my pencil marks if I need to. And I'm going to use just the tip of the pen, and with a medium pressure, I'm just kind of going around 2 or 3 times around the outside edge. And I've kind of got the pencil on the side a little bit. I'm not like straight up, you know, with the pen tip, unless I have to go in there and fill in a gap that I have. So it just, they look kind of like that, just with a little frame around them in pencil. And then I'm taking the tortillon, and to start one off, I'm going to start making the tortillon go back and forth and get some pencil on it so that as you start going around, it will start blurring and blending that out. And you're trying to make little round circles and make it kind of go out into the center so it has more of an oval, soft look to it on the edge. So you start with the inside and kind of get it loosened up, and then start doing little, kind of like little circles out, trying to blend that out a little bit. But you want to leave some of the center white so it looks like a highlight.
You could use a Q-tip or your finger even.
You could use your finger or a Q-tip if you don't have a tortillon. And if you get it too bludgy, you know, too smudgy, you can go back in with this eraser and just kind of hit the center and make it white again if you got it too shaded.
I just keep doing them.
And after you did the shading, then I would go back in, and that's when I would color probably the triangles. Would be a good time. No, my problem is I don't have my glasses on. Can't see what I'm doing. I forgot to put my reading glasses on. I think that's why I'm having a problem here. Okay. Aha, the world comes in focus. Spastic, I still can't do it.
I'm curious how you learned about the Zentangle course and decided to go up for it.
Well, I had an aunt who was a very good art teacher in Houston, and she became a district art supervisor. And then she donated a lot of money and stuff to make a museum. When she died, she gave them, I guess that's who inherited her inheritance. And there's a museum in the art for the district, the school district, Spring Branch, and it's in her name, Alpharita Jurgen. And she learned about this, and I went to a class at her museum. It was after she had passed, and I went. I got an invitation from them, since I guess I was the niece. I was on some kind of list, and I went and took the class, and I was enthralled with it. So I kept looking it up and, you know, finding out more about it. And I found out that they were, you know, giving the classes in up there, and I can't even remember now. Connecticut, I think.
Or Vermont.
And so I wanted to be able to teach, and to be able to teach, you have to be a certified Zentangle teacher to be able to get the right supplies and support and everything. So I got on the website, zentangle.com, and you know, looked all the stuff up and found out about the seminars. They're usually 3 days long. And the one I went to had something like 250 people and present. It was 2 sides of a banquet hall. You know, it's like 2 big rooms that were opened up together with desks inside. And so she had big screens up, and she talked in the front, and we had screens all around we could look and watch. And that's how we did it for 3 days. And we got certified. So
You just keep shading.
You teach locally?
what?
Are you teaching locally for the course?
No, I never can get any students.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, well, that's.
Nobody wants to, you know, sign up and pay money for nothing. So
Yeah.
so I've used it. I use it in my, you know, school classes.
Yep.
And I've taught family.
Yeah.
But
I know, library.
oh yeah, I did something with the library or something once.
It's used in art therapy too, isn't it?
Probably.
It's very meditative, right? Or it can be, right? If you approach
It's supposed to be very meditative and very relaxing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because after you learn the patterns, you don't really have to think while you do it. You know, you just start working on it. Anyway, that's that one. So I've shown you 2. I don't know how the time is going.
We're just at 4:23, so we've still got plenty of time.
Okay. So do we want to work on this one just a little bit more? I'll show you how to do the S curve. On that one, you just put a pencil line. And good thing about the tiles, they're really easy, you know, to flip and turn around the way you want to. When you're in a sketchbook, it's not as easy. And you can make your own tiles. You know, you can just cut like I take a sketchbook and there's some, you know, just draw something in them, or you can cut them out so that you can turn them, and just use this is a heavy pencil drawing. It's a multi-purpose, but it's heavy and smooth finish. It needs a smooth finish. Okay, so
you're shading in the S's, but you need to.
Oh yeah, the S's. So I went around the sides with the pencil on that S curve, and then I take the tortillon and point it toward the outside, and I'm going to start doing that little circular motion where I'm bringing some of that pencil to the white in the middle to blend it in. And then I can turn the tile around and do the other side, where it's always, the tortillon is always pointing to the outside, and then you smudge it into the center. and it leaves a white line through the center. And if you, and again, if you smudge too much, you can always take your, eraser and take out part of it. But usually you don't have to do that. This is a big tangle, so we probably won't do all of it today, but you would just continue doing each area the same. You just go and do another line and fill in until you have the whole thing done. But you could work an hour probably on this one tangle. And about the only thing that you ever do with the rain to shade it is if there's something behind it, like you've got another drawing going on behind here. You might go in there and shade around the rain and put a little shadow on each side and blend it out so that it makes it seem like it pops up.
You're going to show them other.
Yeah, I'm going to do other things, but like if it's on top of something, you could, shade on either side of the rain and make the rain pop up. I'm going to go ahead, I guess, and show you some of the other ones I was going to do.
And that one, babe. Oh, whoops.
And the next one I'm going to do is Flux, which I had just started right there, and Flux is Flux. And to me, it looks like mistletoe. And it's going to be starting out at a point and making a loop and coming back for the leaf. Is that showing up at all? I don't see it up there. Okay. And you can curve them. They can curve down.
Do they come off of one of the lines or
anywhere? You just put them anywhere. They can grow on a line, or you can, I started this one just kind of out in midair. But actually it was starting, against this line that was here. Here's a line here. I'm going to make part of it come over and meet this. You can curve them. You can make them straight. They can go behind each other. So you don't want to fill it in solid, but you put several down, and then you start putting in the berries that are in between. So I really think it looks a lot like mistletoe. And you just start filling in any of the blank spaces with circles, orbs. You use a lot of orbs in Zentangle. Oh, I forgot one part of the leaf that we didn't do. We didn't complete the leaf before I started this. I'm sorry. To complete the leaf, you start at the pointed end where you started drawing, and you put a center line through your leaf, and then you stop before you get to the end and put a dot. So this one would have a center line coming up through here and a dot. When we start to shade the leaf of the flux, we're going to start at the tip and we're going to put a little bit of pencil down, and we're going to start at the end where it's rounded, and we're going to put kind of like a little crescent or smile, a pencil line there. Then we're going to take the tortillon and we're going to brush that up away from the tip into the edge, the center, kind of like this, and let it blend out. You don't want it to go all the way, but let it go from dark to light. And then you go to the tip and kind of run around it just to get some of that pencil loose and moving. And then you brush it out toward the center. And if you do it right and keep going lighter and lighter and using less and less pressure, you should come up with kind of like a light ribbon in the middle where there's the highlight coming across the highest part of your leaf. I can't tell if it's showing up.
It is.
Okay.
Right here.
So you shade the tip of each side, and then you brush it to the center, but you leave the center blank so that you have a highlight in the middle. And again, if you lose the highlight, you just take your eraser and make a mark. Just drag it across and get a streak going so you have a highlight in there. When you start to shade the little berries, it's just like you did on the orbs that were in the other shape we were doing. You can just put like on one side, you can decide which one your shadow is going to be on. I always do it on the down side where I'm drawing. And you just put a smiley face, little smile at the bottom of each orb, each berry. Some of the small ones, it's more like just a dot if you can't get the whole smile in there. And then you just take your tortillon and blend it out. You want it to still stay in kind of a smiley shape. You want to have a lot of white left over. You don't want to shade the whole thing. A lot of times this flux is used as filler because you can make it shape and, you know, change, and it can do anything. So sometimes when you have an area left over, it's just really nice to fill in a gap between two other patterns.
Just keep going like you're making the whole.
Do that.
Mm-hmm.
The last one I was going to show you today was Umble, U-M-B-L-E, and it's more like drawing rainbows in a way. So I'm going to turn the tile, and I'm going to start them in here against the top of this perk that we did. And so it's like you're going to draw a half arch or a rainbow. And then you go in and do the center. And you need 2 lines. And since mine was so close together, I'm going to make my border on the outside up here just because I don't want to use so much of the inside. You can kind of adjust it that way. And then I'm going to draw on the inside here because I've got room. But you come up with 2 little tiny lines. And then you shade in everything in the middle, black. And you can leave, I usually leave a little space for the highlight where I don't really color all the way down so that there's a little glint. It's kind of like looking at a 45 record, old 45, and it usually had a shiny spot on it or something.
Your 5 might make it easier.
I don't know what you said.
Your bigger pin.
This is the 3. This is so far away from me is one thing. I usually draw on a sketchbook, on top of a sketchbook that's in my lap when I'm sitting in my lounge chair. So it's a different height than what I'm doing right now. This isn't as comfortable. So you need to find something that you really feel comfortable sitting in the right distance from where you're drawing. But I do this while I'm watching TV. And then if you're going to do some more to fill in, you would draw it in between the 2. And just keep going. You can do them where you don't fill them in, or you do it opposite. You might fill in the border. Because it's up to you. It's your pattern. And you could do them this way if you don't like doing all that shading, and shade in the border. And if you did it that way, you would be shading, you can see your shadows better. You still would shade, even on this one, you would shade a little bit right where that one went underneath. But it shows up more if you just did one that was light with a dark border. And then you take your tortillon and blend that away from the one it's going behind so it fades out.
I know that they don't blend quite the same way, but could you also use colored pencil?
You probably could, but for your shadows, you might have to go to something like purple or blue. Like if you're using a turquoise, or you're going to color it, you would use like maybe a turquoise blue, and then take start out with regular royal blue or something, and then go to a violet on the edge, you know, to get it even darker.
So more of a coloring thing than a smudging thing like you're doing with regular pencil.
Right. You'd have to change the colors. You could still, after you got all that done, you could still use a soft pencil right at the very edge and blend it out to even make the shadow deeper.
That makes sense. Do people ever make these in just black and then like use watercolor or something else to like?
You can do whatever you want to with them.
What? There are no rules?
No rules. No. They were drilled into my head to always, you know, be this way. And then, you know, I'm thinking, well, that's not very creative sometimes. So I even have started doing things like gluing down magazine cutouts. These, I started with one yellow ball that I found right here in a magazine and glued it down in these little berries and a heart. And then I drew these in, I guess that's just colored pencil, and then started drawing tangles and stuff in behind them. I haven't finished them. And this is another one I was going to do that I kind of did. It's very,
oh, wow.
It looks kind of Hispanic or something, very Mexican.
Yeah.
Cool. And it was done with these little knots and a bow. And these little red knots, I think, is all that was there, and the rest of it's drawn. And so I think this is kind of because I've got into all this pattern making, you know, and things that some of it is tangles and some of it isn't. But let's see if I've got any more. But here's how like one starts like that. If you like to do collage, I like to do collage. I use spray can 3M glue.
Yeah, spray mount. Yeah.
And this is like a bracelet, and I don't know what that was, but anyway, I find things in magazines, you know, and then I glue them down, and then I'm trying to draw that shape again that I'm going to draw with ink and pencils, you know,
right,
and figuring out, and I kind of pencil it in, then I go back and ink. And I do, this is a alligator picture.
Right. Well, one of the things I did when I was promoting this demo, as I mentioned, you know, for folks that are practicing artists in all sorts of fields, you know, I was thinking about like clay and, like you say, collage, and there's all kinds of ways you can use this ability to make. Right?
And I think it gets you thinking about, you know, patterns. It gets you thinking about, it helps you get back to the basics of dark and light and value, you know, thinking about placing your values around, placing different shapes, different textures. And so you get back into the very basic elements of art. And, you know, you can just do it in the black and white, or you can go color. I was trying to think if I had any more in here that were interesting. But.
Well, and I think also it shows you that really what look like really complex patterns are really just a series of really simple basic.
Yes, just basic, like a little stroke that is just repeated. Oh, here's one I've started. That was, they were balloons I found.
Oh, wow.
That I glued on there, and then I've done the drawing, you know, behind it. And I probably, there's some balloons in here that I haven't finished that I probably will go in with chalk or pastels or something and color pink, you know, or something to get more color in there. Yeah. But I haven't finished that one. But yeah, you can, it's after I did a bunch, I've been working with this for years, but it does, I think it stimulates your mind to want to go and do other things with it. And you keep thinking of more and more that you can do.
Right. Do you see patterns in the world when you're out and about?
I guess I think I see patterns more now than ever before. I look at textures, I look at, you know, designs and things more closely because it has made me more aware of them.
Right.
You can keep shading on that.
Does anybody have any questions, or because there's still a little bit more time? Well, we're at 4:45, so we still have some time. Questions, or
well, do I need to add another tangle for y'all to work on, or do you just want to work on these?
More tangle.
There you go.
Okay. Let me think
Yes.
of another one that I can show you then. Let's see.
And there's lots of resources online, right? So if people want
Yes. Just go to Zentangle.com and then just put in Zentangle, and other people have websites. A lot of ZTs have their own website, and
Stripes.
right. And so they might be teaching courses online. I just haven't bothered with it. But you could do that. They might be some that you could join that way, or you can just see what they're
You're
doing.
doing it right now. You're teaching online right now.
Here's a big one that I did, in a sketchbook. And this is one of my favorite ones to do, is where it looks like there's lacing or ribbons, and then you shade where they go behind each other, and then fill in the background with black. And I can show you that on this one. This is one started right here. It looks kind of like, if you're going into Houston and you're having to go through some of those interchanges with the highways, and you get the layers going on there. And I can do that right over here. But you would first you draw your biggest line, your biggest road going across, or ribbon.
Sorry.
And then the next layer would be kind of your medium size that goes behind. So it's a little bit less, it's in width. We're talking about width. You put something in there that would be a little less than the first one. And then the third layer is going to be even skinnier than that. So then you're going to come through behind with a line that's going to be smaller yet. And they can be straight or curvy or however you want to do them. So that you're getting the distance that is helping be made because of the small, medium, large. And I will tell you that the more lines you put in there, the less you have to fill in with black, which gets to be kind of complicated sometimes to shade. It uses up a lot of your ink. So I'm just trying to put more lines in there so I don't have to shade as much up. And then you would go in there, and in between, this empty space, it's all got to be made black. And this is a real no nonsense time. It's really, to me, it's very relaxing just to sit there and color in something. I listen to, TV while I'm doing this. Especially like news. You don't need to watch the news. You can just listen to it and do this. And then you're not so upset about what you hear on the news. So I'm just going to do this one little area so you can see what I do. And then after you get it shaded in, you just take your pencil, and wherever it crosses over, you point your pencil point toward the bigger object that's on top, and you start next to it, and then you let up on the pressure, so you're already helping shade it a little bit, and then you use your tortillon to blend that out away from the other object. And then you go behind that and do the same thing. You would turn your square around and go next to the one and then blend it out. This one, the same way. And that little one that's in the back, it might have to, the whole thing of it might have to be shaded. I got too much on that one, so I'm going to take my eraser and just kind of back up that shadow a little bit. And then on that third layer, it's underneath that one so much that the whole thing can be kind of shaded. And that really takes it further back and makes it look more in the distance. And that one you can actually shade off into the black because it doesn't show up on your ink, and so you don't have to worry about staying in the lines. And then this one went behind, this one went behind. And again, this is a nice finished one here where you can see how they layer over each other. So you can make them curvy, you can make them sharp angles, it doesn't matter.
I'd keep shaking on that.
And this is another one. It doesn't have all the shading really as good, but that's another one right there with it in there. And those are mostly straight lines on that one.
So Lana, on that one you showed before, it had some like curly thingies. Can you do like some little spirally kind of deal?
That one.
Oh,
the
this
spirals.
one? This? Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Usually what I do on that one is I have to have guidelines sometimes, but I'll make a circle with a dot in the center. And I usually put a pencil line in there that I don't want to go over to make the white spot. I cheat a lot. I don't know. I think you can take their guidelines, but I think you should make it easy for yourself. So I put the dot in there, and then I start on one side of that little line, and I just start making my concentric circles going around. But I stop on that little part that I shaded and skip over it. And it's going behind a pattern I already had here, so I had to be sure and stop and skip over it because it's going to be behind it. And then I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase my guidelines out of there. Because this one is going behind something else, I think that's where I'm going to shade it. So I'm going to shade it back over in here because it went behind this thing. And then I'm going to let that shadow, you can put a shadow like kind of on partial side or whatever. It can be a pie-shaped shadow. If you do one that's kind of cone-shaped, it's going to make it seem more like you could do it on either side, like you see on a record or something, or however you want. But whatever you do, it's going to help make it pop out to where it looks like it's either going behind or that maybe it's cone-shaped or something, so you can give it some dimension there.
You can show how you add another one next to it.
And then I just start smug up against one of the other lines, come across, and I'm just going to skip as I'm drawing to go behind that one. Put a dot in the middle. I'm going to make me a pencil line to remember that that's where the highlights go, kind of parallel with that one. And then I'm going to just start drawing around. Skip over the pencil. But basically, a tangle is supposed to be a lot of repetitive strokes. And it's the repetition that you do that is relaxing. You know, when you sit there and just start tracing this circle over and over again, you're actually not really having to think much. And it helps you start to relax. And then I'm going to shade in behind it. And if you're doing a series of these, together, try to make sure the shadows are, all alike as you go down the row, and it helps. And that was what? And because this one has the flux leaves on top of it, I'm going to shade behind the flux to bring them up on top. I'm cleaning up the end of this, but I kind of ran over it a little bit. And since I had shaded that one to make it look it curl down, but since we're putting something behind it and it didn't work, that way it's blending in, I'm going to make the tip lighter so that the circle is behind, looks more further away behind it. And that brings it out a little bit. So that's how you work it into a pattern. You just let it draw behind other things that are there first. So it's usually something good to put in around something else. Like you can have areas of it, like over here, that are by itself, but you see it was tucked, these were drawn first, so they were tucked under, underneath it. So part of it can be prominent, but then you start putting it underneath patterns, and it's a good background texture.
That's awesome. Does anybody have any last questions? Or just a few minutes from ending? We've got some time for questions, or any other last minute details we should all know about?
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure when you were doing the roads on there, the one part that you were, you was making the strips that look like roads.
Like Houston's?
Yeah, the Houston area.
Okay.
The Houston area.
I was wanting to find out, is the top one that you did, you don't do any shading on that one, right?
If you did, it would be where it went off the edge right here where it meets something else. You could do the very end of that one and then bring it out. And the very end of this one, maybe where, it's supposed to curve down behind something else. But that would probably be the only place you would on that one.
Okay,
and
I was just making sure.
Yeah, and then you would get everything, by it darker and going away from it, so it pops up on top. But you could do the two ends.
That's cool. I like that.
It makes it more like arched.
Yeah.
Great. So you said you're not teaching online. Are you selling art online, Lana? Are you doing any of that?
I haven't. I guess I just don't know how.
No, I'm just wondering, because we try to, we want to let people know if you are doing stuff like that, where they can get in touch with you.
Oh.
Well, hopefully when we get Art on the Square again, they'll be back on the down on the square.
Yeah, if we can ever be among people again.
So people can find you at Art Squared when it's up.
Yes.
That's
yes. Yeah, I go there.
Well,
and
I'm sorry. Then
I was trying to think if I had a website. At one time I might have, but I haven't even done anything with it, so I don't know if it's around.
I wish I could remember if I didn't have a website.
It's been so long ago. Goodness. When you get my age, you're forgetful, and everything has been, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, who knows?
Yeah, no,
So
I hear that. And so right now, just for folks that are out there, the Art Squared July market is on the schedule right now, but given Hayes County, I don't know. We're technically still going to hold it, but hopefully that will remain. But with case numbers going up in town, it's, I think, concerning to a lot of people. So, but for now, July.
And I have a website I'm looking at, see if it's tanglingwithlana.com, all lowercase.
Okay, great.
And I'm just looking at some, and there's an events page on Facebook with it.
Okay.
Maybe it is a Facebook page.
Folks can find there if they need.
I'm trying to see if there's anything. Yeah, it's up, and it's got some of my pictures on it.
Great.
And that's where I have in the past posted something, but there's nothing, coming up right now. But yeah, it's still up and running.
Perfect. Well, that's good. And so, like I said, for everyone, this is being recorded. We're going to put it up on our Vimeo page. The San Marcos Art League has a Vimeo page with all of the demos that we've done in the series.
It's on the Art League page or the Art Center page?
It's actually on Vimeo. So it's like YouTube without all the junk.
So how do we find that?
Yes, you can go directly to the Vimeo page and search San Marcos Art League, and I suspect there's a link on the Art League page, but I don't 100% know if it's been put up yet. But we'll get on that so that we can make that link live.
And the other thing that you didn't ask for feedback, but I'm going to give you some because next week is the embroidery.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
What? I don't know what you said. I'm sorry.
Next week, you're doing embroidery?
Yes.
And is there any way you could put like what supplies we need before the class, since it's only an hour?
Oh, interesting. I hadn't really thought about it. I was thinking of it more as an actual just demo, but I can get in touch with
Okay, well, yeah, it's not really a class. It's more like a demo. Okay.
No, that's fine. It's not a problem at all. I will, that's good to know. I'll get in touch with her, and then I'll post in the event page what she says the supplies would be.
Yeah, and she may just want us to watch and not do anything, but, it would be nice to have supplies on hand if
no, I think that's a great idea, and I'll do that. So thank you for bringing that up. I should.
Thank y'all for doing this. Thank you, Lana. This was great.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Maybe someday we can all get together in the real life and do
that. Would be good.
Well, Lana, I think that you came to my collage at the library a few times.
I probably did. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, your stuff is so great.
Well, thank you.
It's really
I like doing collage, and I like doing the pen and inks.
Yeah, I love how you put the collage with your Zentangle.
Yeah, Zentangle. Mm-hmm.
That was really cool.
Gives it a pop of color in there.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I used to try to paint, and I've taken watercolor classes and stuff, and I don't know, it seems like it's so complicated to get it right that I enjoy doing this more because to me it's more fun. You get something quicker and it's not as messy.
Right. Well, that's great. I really appreciate your time today. And
okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks to everybody.
I enjoyed it too.
And,
thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bye.
Okay.